All right, so hello everybody. Welcome to our first interview. My name is Alyssa, and today I'm here with Leah, my awesome blog partner. And
Hi.
today we also have a special guest, Megan, who is making the incredible career transition from the pharmacy industry into cybersecurity. And Megan is pursuing her bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. And today she's going to be sharing her experiences, the obstacles that she went through, and basically any advice that she has for women and WG students looking to join WGU and pursue a career in cybersecurity. So thank you, Megan, for joining us today. So let's start off with your backstory and how did you develop an interest in cybersecurity? And can you give us more details on, who you are as a person and where you came from?
Yeah, sure. So first, thank you for having me. My background is in pharmacy. I went to about 8 years of school to become a pharmacist. I graduated in 2018, and I had worked in retail pharmacy, and I continued to work in retail pharmacy. Um, After a few years, I just kind of realized how unhappy I was. There was a lot of aspects about pharmacy that I didn't like, and I realized I chose the career for the wrong reason. Last year, my family and I moved across country, and that's really when I had an opportunity to change careers. So I sat down, I thought about my ideals in a job environment the second time around, and I decided on wanting somewhere where I could sit down, something that had advancement opportunities because I'm really goal oriented, and that's just very motivating for me. And then something that I would be happy doing, which I knew would be something in IT. So, like from an early age, I was interested in computers. I would build them with my dad. I went to computer science classes throughout high school. But to get into cybersecurity specifically, I had a friend who's a former pharmacist that I watched successfully make the transition into cybersecurity. So I reached out to him and I was like, hey, how do I get started? And he suggested that I take the CC exam by ISC squared, the Certified in Cybersecurity. He said it's a free exam, so there's no risk. So I started studying for that. And then I also started studying for Security Plus. And then I signed up for like Try Hack Me and played around with things a bit. So all this basically to make sure that it was something that I would enjoy doing. So
Mhm.
then I decided to do WGU, and now I'm here.
All right. So I see like you kind of had to reevaluate your goals and the things that you want in life, and that must have been very scary to kind of have to um, take all of that you worked for and kind of look back and decide like, this is my future, this is what I want. So that
Mhm.
must have been very like scary, I can imagine like being so used to being in that industry.
Oh yeah, it was and is still a very scary thing. Like I spent 12 years of my life working toward that goal. So that's like a big part of my life to like just leave behind. And like sometimes I feel like I've wasted a lot of my life, but
Mm.
that's something that well, a good example is like I came across a quote on LinkedIn and it kind of spoke to me. It was something along the lines of, it's better to waste 12 years of your life than to waste the entirety of the rest of your life
Mhm.
doing something that you're unhappy with doing. And that's me in this situation. Like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing something I'm unhappy with. I would rather be working toward something that I would feel good about doing.
Right.
Um, but For me, it's probably maybe a little less stressful than most because I do always have that as a career to fall back on. I do have like my pharmacy licenses that I keep active, but hopefully I will never have to use those.
Right. So that's a great example for everybody who's like planning to join WGU. Like, you have to take those types of risks in life in order to grow. So
Mhm.
thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
And Leah, do you want to go on and ask the next question?
Yeah, sure. So you were mentioning about the emotional impact, and I would just like to know a little bit more about how are you mentally preparing yourself for the transition from pharmacy to cybersecurity?
Well, the whole reason that I'm making the transition is for my mental health and my physical health too. Like in pharmacy, I would routinely stand for 12 to 16 hours. And that's, see, the reason why I want to sit down. And like my heart rate was like 120 for like 12 hours a day. I definitely think for me, it will be an improvement. Um, but like I've had supportive family, supportive friends. Um, that's about it.
Mm,
It's good to know that you have supportive friends and family because I
Yes.
think part of what makes you going is that support that you have. So it's
mm.
good. Happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree. Like if you have a support system, that can be like a great source of motivation to keep on moving forward. And it's kind of like they kind of hold you accountable too, It's like, what am I doing this for? You think about your family, your friends for motivation. So yeah, that's great. That's great. And so basically, I wanted to ask how your experience at WGU was so far, and like kind of what are the pros and cons that you've experienced at that school?
Yeah, so my experience at WGU has honestly been nothing but good. And I'm not trying to sound like cliche. Like it really has. I've been to several universities and colleges, and WGU is by far my favorite. I
Mm,
think like the way it's set up is toward people who are self-learners. So that's something that I appreciated. I love that you're given all the materials up front, and there's multiple types of ways to study for exams. I prefer self-study. I feel like I can learn better and faster that way.
mhm,
I also love that you can do everything on your own time, even schedule exams at every time, even like Sunday at 3 a.m. I would wait like 1 or 2 hours before I scheduled my exams. And I think there was only one time that I wasn't able to get a slot and I had to wait a couple extra hours, but it's super flexible that way. Um,
mhm,
I did want to say I figured a brick and mortar college would probably have cost me 8 times as much for 8 terms, and it would have taken me 4 years to complete. So that's a pro for WGU. Pros. Also, everything I mentioned about the flexibility. Um, Trying to think of cons. Oh, cons. One of them we talked about yesterday, which was the timeline. Um, when I was trying to enroll in internships,
mhm,
they wanted somebody who was in their junior or senior year, which is already hard to be applicable to WGU students, especially ones that are accelerating. And then they wanted you to graduate in a certain time period, like from November 2023 to January 2024 or something like that. So that probably I would think it would exclude so many students from getting those internship opportunities. And I felt like it was probably over 80% of the ones that I looked at. And then also on their requirements was a certain GPA. And sometimes some of those were like 3.2, which WGU wouldn't qualify for technically. And they were larger companies that I don't know if they could make like an exception to the rule for WGU students. So I think that would be my major con.
mhm.
Did
Right.
Could you think of any other ones?
So actually, since we're all like in different stages of the process, like I'm a prospective student at WGU.
Mhm.
Leah's actually a current student at WGU, and you've graduated.
Yes.
I think that would be a great opportunity for Leah to speak on, like, if you've experienced any pros or cons too.
So yeah, I agree with Megan that the pros are like the flexibility. For example, I started in March and I have completed close to 30 credits already because I'm basically testing out of classes. So I'm since I already have a bit of knowledge on the subjects because I studied before I did some computer science classes as well. So scripting is just already out of the way. And other things like Try Hack Me, I've done a lot of it on my own time too, like my spare time. And I have picked up on a lot of subjects and content. So it was easier for me to go through the classes at WGU. So that was definitely a pro for me because I felt like, hey, in a traditional school, I was always limited by you have to complete this class by like the whole semester. And I take way quicker than most people just because I'm doing like a school full time right now and I don't have a job right now. So it's just I have like this desire to just complete things quicker than most people. So that's definitely a pro for me. But at con, I think I would say that sometimes it's hard to reach some staff. Sometimes they delay the responses, but that's not too bad. You usually can get around it, and you have a bunch of resources to choose from. Like you have your mentor, you have if you're in the beginning of the process, like Elisa, you have your enrollment counselor. So there's a bunch of people that you can still reach out to if you have a problem. But that's about.
Right. Okay. And as a student who's prospective and I'm still in the pre-enrollment process, I could say that the enrollment process has been very stressful for me. Specifically, it's just like very it's a very long process and you have to kind of complete everything in order. You know, it's I don't have like I'm not too fond of it from my experience. And also, a lot of people have been complaining about their enrollment counselors like not getting in contact with them and stuff like that. So, yeah, I just wanted to start off with the cons because I actually experienced a lot of pros. So, as a student whose perspective, I'm pre-enrolled, I actually have the opportunity to transfer in a lot of credits. So, I was able to go to sites like sophia.com and study.com and knock out a bunch of credits like very, very quickly. And as someone who's like very self-sufficient, I'm someone who likes to get things done, similar to Leah. I found that to be very beneficial that they allow you to do that. And also, the transfer policy is very generous. So, if you have a previous bachelor's degree or an associate's degree, that kind of knocks out a lot of the gen eds that you're required to take at the school. So, that's definitely a huge pro that I've experienced at the school.
And then if I could speak to your one of your cons, Elisa, like my enrollment counselor, my first enrollment counselor, I wasn't happy with either. And so like if you are unhappy with your program mentor or your enrollment counselor, it is so easy to get a different one. You can
Right.
request a specific one, or you could just call the general number and just say, hey, I just need anybody else. And that's all it takes.
Right, right. So for anybody listening, if you're unsatisfied with your mentor or enrollment counselor, you can always change that. Actually, my counselor is great. She's
Okay.
very nice. I have to specify my counselor is very nice. She's been great and cooperative and communicative. Like she hasn't missed a meeting at all. It's simply just the process of actually transferring the credits that I found very stressful. Like they actually they they evaluated my transcript, but they didn't count my bachelor's degree. So I was missing like 7 classes and I had to do it over. So sometimes there's a lot of issues with that process. So just watch out for anybody listening. Definitely keep an eye on that and definitely refer to the website to find information because sometimes the enrollment counselors might tell you the wrong thing and stuff. So yeah, just keep double checking and referencing their website.
It's something
So
that helps you be patient, to be honest.
yeah, yeah,
So
it definitely builds patience. But so my next question for you is, since we talked about like WGU and stuff, I wanted to know like what was your favorite experience or like your favorite class that you took at the school?
I definitely had a favorite class. It was the digital forensics class,
Mhm,
because obviously I think the material is the most fun.
mhm,
They also, for that class, they had like hands-on labs. They weren't as pretty as Try Hack Me, but they got the job done.
mhm,
Um, that's also something that is probably a good piece of advice for potential students. For that class specifically, it's easy to just study like the material solely that you need to pass the exams. Because a lot of people take the pre-assessment and then just see what they don't know and study only what they don't know, but they're kind of cheating themselves out of their education. Like I actually went through and I read all the material. There's a lot of things that you can learn that you're not tested on.
mhm.
So that's a good thing to throw out there.
Okay. Yeah, I actually seen a lot of people really are a fan of that class, from like posts I've been reading on Reddit and stuff like that. So, and also like, what was your most difficult class to complete out of the entire degree?
The most difficult one, I maybe pen test exam,
Mhm,
because it kind of felt like newer material to me at that time. Like the whole courses had been focusing more on the defense side than like playing the offensive side, if that makes sense. So, but it still really wasn't that bad.
I
Um,
see.
the material that WGU gives you for that, I wouldn't recommend. I would try to use more outside sources for most of the certifications. I learned better using like classes on Udemy or classes on LinkedIn versus the classes that they give you to
Mhm.
study.
Yeah, that's a great thing to mention because like I noticed a lot of people were saying that same thing, that they had to refer to, third-party resources
Mhm.
to actually learn the material. So yeah, you can check out like Udemy, LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure WGU, yeah, WGU gives you a free Udemy account, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great resource to check out if you're having trouble with any classes or anything. And another question that I had was basically now that you're done with the degree and you're graduated, so congrats on that.
Thank you.
What like area are you planning to go into in cybersecurity? Like, are you doing red team, blue team? Like, what are your plans for the future?
I would like to do blue team. I'm actually most interested in incident response, but I'm not picky at this point. Like I am open to lots of roles. I'm interested in a lot of things, and whatever I get into first, I will try to make that more of my niche. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Trying
So
to make myself look marketable for many options.
okay. All right. And do you feel like WGU prepared you for that? Like you feel like you have all the skills that you need, or do you feel like you still need to possibly get your like CISSP or like any other certifications or stuff like that?
I feel like WG prepared me for fundamentals and basics.
Mhm,
But it definitely is good to get more hands-on experience outside of the program. It would be awesome if WGU integrated that a little bit more into their classes. So like currently now I'm enrolled in some skill-based classes as well, and then continuing try hack me and just trying to use as many of the free tools I can to get the hands-on experience without
mhm.
having a job first. But that is something that I would recommend students do like during their whole time, like alongside do your own self-learning.
Right, right. Like projects, any sort of like try hack me, you can do like hack the box, stuff like that. So like have you ever used the career services? Because I think they have, yeah, they have a career services at WGU. Did
I
you
have
find that helpful?
well, I looked at the career services page. They help you like with like writing your resume, but it's very cookie cutter and kind of like obvious stuff. I
Okay.
didn't find it beneficial to me. They also give you access to Handshake, which is like internal postings to students in certain degrees for
Mhm.
like jobs or internships. But for our degree specifically, like I have not seen any good
Mm.
like
Okay.
postings for us. So I don't think those are the best resources WGU has.
Okay, I see. Well, thanks for letting us know that too, because like I was actually very interested in that and seeing like how do they plan on like helping students actually getting a job, you know, with their like
Mhm.
resume and building their experience. So also I wanted to ask like did you do any sort of like projects that you found very helpful that you put on your resume maybe to like stand out?
I feel like a lot of people focusing on doing home labs, and I've done some home labs, but they're like walkthrough ones. The only thing I can think of by name is like the Eric Capuano one that
Hmm.
I think it's with Lima Charlie. So if anybody wants to Google that, that's like a good starting point.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
And
and then
me pers sorry,
uh
sorry.
oh, I was
Okay.
gonna say the class that I'm taking this next week is one of the anti-siphon classes. So I'm doing like the SOC analyst course.
Okay.
But if you're a student, you can do pay what you can too. So you don't have to pay full price for the class if you can't. You know, you can there's tiers for that. So that's a good option for people as well.
All right. And what was that again? Can you say that again?
Yeah, it's anti-siphon. That's the company.
Anti-siphon.
Yeah. And then they have
Okay.
different classes and a lot of them are pay what you can.
Okay. All right.
But the one I'm
So,
doing is the SOC analyst one, and I think they hold them once a month, and they just give you, like, a Discord invite, and then you
mhm.
download, like, their programs or their virtual machines, and then you follow along with them.
Okay. All right. I never heard of that, so thank you for mentioning that. And also like I know you were involved in the Women in Technology and the Cybersecurity Club.
Mhm.
So do you feel like those clubs kind of helped you find these types of resources and do these sort of things alongside with your academics?
So the cybersecurity club, yes, they have capture the flag programs all the time. I didn't do any, but I just see them all the time. But I have interacted with a lot of students from that, like, separately, and I've, like, networked with them, learned a lot of like these outside resources that I'm mentioning to you now, like I have gotten that information from them. So
Hmm.
that's something I would suggest all people in our major join. And then for women in technology, I see some helpful posts on there. They post a lot about job opportunities. Um, and it even seems to be sometimes they're more specific towards women. Like I think I saw one for like Maybelline, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so that's interesting.
Mhm.
But I don't feel like they're as active as the other group.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm planning on joining those groups as well, so that's very good to know.
And I know Leah's in
And
the group, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
but and I found it super interesting because they have a group called accountability or something related to that. So from what I heard, it's just like a regular meeting that you have once a week to try to tell your plans about what you are working on or like what you plan to do the next week. And I found that's pretty nice, like especially if you don't have many friends or people who are you're connected with and like or if you don't have the motivation to study or do something. So I found that that was super helpful too.
Oh, that's super cool. I didn't even know that was a thing yet. But yeah, so those clubs sound amazing, and I know they have like an honor society or something. I think another club that isn't, I don't think it's as popular, but those seem to be like the two main ones. So, so you've been involved in like those types of things. Have you been involved in like any other like organizations? Like I know YSIS is like a huge thing, and you sent me a link about the mentorship program that they have. Would you like to
Yeah.
speak about that?
Yeah, so
Okay.
they have so I'm a member of WISIS and also the CyberJets too. So WISIS, I think once a year they send out program invitations to be a mentor or a mentee. And so this year I applied to be a mentee. But they
Mhm.
do specify like anybody at any level can still be a mentor, even if you don't feel like you have a lot to offer. Like you have a lot to offer somebody. So that's an opportunity, but I think they usually have a lot more mentees than mentors. So I don't think everybody gets matched. So I won't know for a little while.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but I do want to mention that WISIS also has, oh no, sorry, the Cyberjetsu has access to like some courses. Like they do like the Splunk courses for free. I think you can also access them through other programs for free as well, but I've done them for free through them.
Okay. So it
So
seems like
that's
they
worth the
also,
membership. Yeah.
yeah, the membership kind of like leads you to those types of resources as well.
Mhm.
Okay. So, I don't know, Leah, do you have any like questions that I don't want to like keep asking questions for you or anything.
I'm very interested in knowing about like your experience as a woman because we're all women here and our blog is focused on women because we know that there is a difference, unfortunately, between men in the field and women sometimes are not as recognized or valued as they should be. So, do you feel like you experienced some type of um, difference because you were a girl, like either at WGU or just being into tech?
So from the actual like WGU staff and faculty, I didn't feel any kind of difference. So I didn't feel any kind of bias, and I appreciate that. But just general on the field, the way I interact with people from like the tech world is mainly on Discord or on LinkedIn. And I'll preface it with like most of the people on LinkedIn are wonderful. And I've had lots of really good relationships with people, and they've given me great advice, that have asked me a lot of things, and I've been able to help. Everybody's super friendly, except there is definitely a subsect of people who will come into your direct messages and say the not the most appropriate things towards women. So I don't know if that's something that you've experienced, but I've had people like ask me my relationship status, or like just directly just ask me for my phone number straight out. And I know I've talked to other women on the platform that have experienced that as well. And I've seen a couple posts from women as well that have explained how that happens. But of all places, like LinkedIn is not the place for that. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's crazy, to be honest. Like, I know that women are seen as different, like, oh, you don't know as much, or oh, like, you for sure you don't know about that. But that's not the case at all. So, do you feel like you have to work maybe twice as hard as men to prove yourself in the field?
sometimes, because I feel like if I were a man that had the credentials that I do, I might not be asked to prove them as much as I do now.
hmm
And I can't give any concrete answers. Like it's just a feeling that you can get. I'm pretty sure you two know what I'm talking about.
for
Yeah.
sure. Like you kind of feel like you have to prove yourself or make yourself stand out because you feel kind of like you're being underestimated about your
Yes.
skills. It kind of pushes you to feel like, yeah, I need to stand out. I need to be the best at what I do. And sometimes you don't know everything. Like you have to go into it with a very open mind and realize like, I'm not going to know everything. Like I still have to learn. So it's very important for women out there. If you feel like intimidated or you feel like, oh my God, I don't think I can do this or I feel outnumbered, definitely remember Megan and
Yes.
remember us here. We're all here to support you. And it's very important to believe in yourself and don't be intimidated by the men. Like go in there and do your
Yes.
thing. So, I also wanted to ask you about like just general advice that you have for students, because I know there's a lot of women going into tech, but also for WGU students just in general, like do you have anything that they should know, like what to expect before they come into the school, etc.?
Well, of course, before enrolling like I did, I think you should just make sure it's something that you really want to do. So use the free tools available, like this capture the flag programs, like try Hack Me. But for people who are enrolled, definitely take advantage of any optional certifications that they have. Like right now, I'm planning to take the CCSP before I enroll in June. So that was an optional certification offered to my group, but I don't know if because it's recently changed the program, so I don't know if it's still available. But whatever they
Mm,
have that's optional, just do it. And then, like you mentioned before, the resources that WGU provides, they do Udemy, they do Pluralsight, they do LinkedIn Learning, and then you get access to the WGU library. So all 4 of those you get access as an alumni also. So I could use the WGU library now.
Mhm.
And then like we talked about doing more hands-on training and self-learning like alongside your schooling. And then just general advice, like just start networking now. And women specifically, like reach out to other women. Like I have a lot more men come to my inbox than women. Like I want to see more women.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We all have to like band together, you know, like find each other and support each other for sure.
Yes.
Mhm. And I've had the same experience too. Like I've like on LinkedIn, I've seen
Mhm.
very little or very few women actually in this program. So if you do see me or you see any other woman, like definitely reach out.
Yes. And I am so friendly. Like reach out
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Megan is an angel. She's so nice. Like reach out to Megan. I'm gonna have her LinkedIn linked below. So if you want to reach out to her and ask her questions, feel free. And I think those are like all the questions that we have today. I don't know, Leah, if you want to ask anything extra, or Megan, if you want to iterate on anything that you said.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I'm actually interested because we have met on Discord, you and I, Alyssa, and I don't think we ever talked about like what was our interest in cybersecurity. I know that Megan just shared it with us, but would you mind like speaking about that? And I will too, if you want.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I actually come from a musical background. I actually did my bachelor's degree in music, and I was planning to become a music educator for a very long time. I had that set as my goal, but after, you know, COVID and the pandemic, I started to realize like how connected we are with technology and how valuable it is to just be online and actually know about technology. And that kind of sparked my interest in IT and cybersecurity. So that's when I actually did the Google IT support cert. And I actually fell in love. I thought this was a very interesting field. It aligned very much with how I am as a person. Like, I feel very scientific. Like, I love to test out theories and like problem solve. Like, that's always how I've been. So, it's very aligned with me as a person. So I even decided to take a cybersecurity course at my college, and that's how I ended up in this field. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, and it was an asynchronous class online, and that totally aligns with WGU. It's kind of like the same format, I guess, for classes. So that's kind of what pushed me into this field.
That's awesome to know. I have experienced the same. I also come from uh what is it, the word I forgot?
Oh,
um
background?
yeah, like because I was gonna do psychology at first, and oh, humanities, that's what I was looking for.
Mhm.
um, and I've always enjoyed it, but I always also liked a lot of gaming, and that's one reason why I switched to computer science. I had friends, like women friends, female friends, who were actually also making the switch from psychology to something else in tech. And I've just felt empowered by them to take that step that I've always wanted to, but I never really had the opportunity to do. So I switched to computer science, but I also had a cybersecurity course there, and it was an elective, and I really enjoyed that. And I was like, I don't think I like coding as much as I thought I did. So when I went through the cybersecurity class, I really enjoyed that, and I like that much more. So I just wanted to do that for a career, and that's when my husband also went to WGU actually, and he talked to me about it, and I always thought that the the uh, the traditional schools were better for me, but I also have ADHD and I focus better on doing one class at a time. So when I heard about WGU, I was like, wait, that seems much better than it is. At least for me personally, it was very beneficial. So that's how I ended up being in the field. And my husband also like always supported me in doing whatever I wanted. And he also tried to convince me to go to cybersecurity. So when I actually experienced it for myself, I enjoyed it, and that's how I ended up getting into it. And we're
Mhm.
out here now, so it's pretty amazing how we can get connected to everybody, and especially women. And I do think that we should stick together and have other women out there to just learn that they have a voice too and that they should speak for themselves.
Mhm. And it's super cool how we all just kind of had that natural curiosity, or just like we just had that natural interest in the field, and it just like pushed us to go full out.
Mm.
So definitely, if you're a woman watching this and you're considering doing the same, please do. You're gonna love, and it's you're gonna love the experience and be very satisfied with that decision for sure.
Sure. So, do you all have any questions?
No.
No, I think we're finished for today.
No.
Um, so thank you, Megan, for joining us today. This is our first interview on the Sisterhood of Cyber blog. So that's very awesome that you were able to join us today. And it was really great hearing your story, your backstory, and all of the obstacles that you went through and your experiences at WGU. I'm sure this is going to be very beneficial for students who are looking to join the school and are trying to figure out what to expect and things like that. And it also puts like a face to the students at WGU. Like you can see that we're real people, real experiences here. So hopefully this has helped you out if you're listening. And I think that's it for today. So thank you guys for joining, and we're going to sign off. Bye.
Bye.